All right, we'll give everyone one more minute to log in here and we'll get started. All right, great. That was my trusty reminder. Okay, y'all. Thank you again for joining us today. Earlier, we went over just the HSAs in general. This afternoon, we're going to tackle the employer strategies of boosting an HSA participation and employee engagement. We have our special guest with our ESI team, Eric Johnson from Benefits Weekly. And so with those introductions, first of all, from our team, we have Amber and Erica from our benefits department. Those are with the ESI. It's probably spoken with them many times. Those who have not, ladies, you just want to get a kind of introduction of your experience, and then we'll go into Eric's.
Hi, I'm Amber Kerr. I'm the Benefits Administrative Manager here at ESI. I've been with ESI for about 4 years, in the benefits and PEO world for about 12 years. So yeah.
Great. Thanks, Amber. Erica?
Hi, my name is Erica Buenteo. I am the Benefits Account Manager. I've been with ESI for about 1.5 years. I've been working in benefits about 18 years. So we're excited for this webinar.
Excellent. Thanks, Erica, and thanks y'all for joining us. And now from Benefits Weekly, we have Eric Johnson with us. Eric, just a quick on your background and benefit knowledge.
Absolutely. So my name is Eric. I have been in the insurance industry for, 25 plus years, and have known Corey for most of that time. We go way back. I have been a big fan of health savings accounts pretty much since their inception over 20 years ago now, and spent about 3 years working for an HSA administrator. Corey and I are also part of a national insurance association, and I spent some time teaching their certification class on consumer-directed health plans, including HSAs. So hopefully my knowledge and experience in this will be beneficial to you, and we'll try to answer some questions as we go along.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a side note, if you do have an insurance license in the state of Texas and you do renewals or CEs, I'm sorry, definitely look up Eric, Comedy CE. Go to him quite often. And again, as I will on this show or on this webinar, learn something new or a refresher every time from him. Real knowledgeable. And Eric, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Good. The purpose of this session, again, is, as you all know, probably, is to equip employers with practicing strategies for increasing their HSA adoption. A lot of times we put into the strategy our high deductible plans, and it kind of falls off from the part of adding the HSA and then employees what to do with it. Well, hopefully we answer some of those questions here for you today, whether you're a client of ESI or looking maybe to become one. We have that content here for you today, and hopefully answer those questions. And if there's more left over, we're here to help. Again, this is educational only, not personal finance or tax advice. Obviously, we have other professions to help us with those. So as I said, the webinar overview is the purpose of this session is to help employers understand why participation may be low, and how they can encourage greater adoption. Many employees choose HDHP plans, but don't set up their HSAs, or they set them up, know they have them, and don't take advantage of them. And worse, maybe an employer is contributing to them, and they're not taking advantage of that and doing their own contribution. So basically, we want to help employees make better choices while controlling employer health plan and cost over time. Again, that's why you partner with companies like ESI and able to do that. And together, hopefully we can boost those participation levels for you. Okay, as an agenda, you'll see here, we'll have why participation is low. The case, you see the bullets right here. The case for employer contributions, getting starting contributions, how an HSA saves you money. Section 125, plan requirements, real world examples and talking points, encourage employees while managing cost, and where to learn more in Q&A. We will have, and when we get to that, we have a dedicated landing page. Everybody who's on this call obviously will get the slides and we'll have the video, and we have that landing page. We'll also have further information that will grow after this session, so you can keep going back to it. And if you have questions, our team is there to help you, whether you're currently with us or maybe looking for that in the future. All right, so I think we have our first question here was from the knowledge of HSAs. Why participation is often low without education or funding? We kind of have some bullets here, but I don't know if Amber and Erica, you and Eric want to kind of take it from there on this one.
So why is participation without education or funding, why is that low? So employees may not understand the concept that an HSA is their money. So what they put in there will always be with them. It will go with them. But it is their money. No one's controlling that. That is coming from their paychecks. And then also they see that employees will elect to enroll in these high deductible plans. They may see that it's, less money coming from their paycheck for this plan. They have medical insurance, but they're not taking the full advantage of participating in the HSA. So they got one piece of it, but not taking that tax savings with the HSA. There's no upfront employer contribution can make it feel less valuable. So when, why do I need this HSA? Why should I put my money into this HSA? They may not see the value of that, but when there is an employer contribution or say a match, say an employer matches, you put $5 and I'll put $5 in each paycheck, they may have a little more value. Now they get a little more, you get twice as much money into your HSA account that you can contribute. Education alone helps, but funding support is often key to driving real adoption. So really it's making sure employees understand their HSA, but also if we're supporting, helping them, matching dollars, helping them understand the reason for adopting an HSA or starting their HSA account is really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Eric, do you have anything from kind of what you see it trying to particular, not only educating agents in the industry, but also employers that call you with questions that might have some additional insights on participation being low?
Absolutely. I mean, people don't know what they don't know. And I think a lot of times, we certainly in the insurance industry, we just kind of make assumptions that people understand this stuff. And I think sometimes employers might as well just assume that the employees understand what an HSA is and the benefits of contributing. The reality is that, a lot of people, they haven't had this type of account before, haven't had this opportunity, and may not be real well versed in it. So education is always helpful. Certainly letting people know that it is their money and any unused funds roll over from year to year. So it's not an FSA. It's not a use it or lose it account. If they leave employment, they take the account with them. So it truly is a savings account for healthcare needs. And most of us, even if we're healthy, we're going to have needs at some point. So kind of budgeting for a rainy day is not a bad idea. So many people, they do sign up for the health coverage and stop there, partly because I may not realize that they can contribute to the account, partly because, health insurance is expensive. And if the employees have a pretty big share of the premium to pay, they may feel they can't afford to make an additional regular contribution to an HSA. And I think that's where some education about the importance of at least opening the account, that gives them the ability, if they do have a big claim, to pay with tax-free dollars. So a lot of this is just kind of walking through scenarios and explaining to them, how much the benefit is, how to actually take advantage of the benefit, and so forth. And Amber mentioned the not making an upfront contribution. The reality is a lot of employers don't. It's health insurance is expensive now, and it sort of crowds out other benefits, including HSA contributions. But the reality is that if an employer will sort of, prime the pump, so to speak, and make an upfront contribution, that at least gets the accounts opened for the employees. It gives them the chance then to contribute their own money and, take advantage of that savings when they do incur an expense. And I will elaborate on all of these points as we go through it. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think those are really the main reasons we see a lot of people not participating. And in that case, they're viewing this as a catastrophic plan that, that they may not really take advantage of. They buy it because it's the cheapest option a lot of times.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is a reminder. I'm sorry if you guys, the audience, you have questions, please write them in the comment section because we will get to those. We left enough time at the end to be able to tackle those. So you might have an instance specific for your organization, and we're happy to tackle and answer that. Okay, the next one was a case for employer contributions. I think you were just touching on that, Eric. We have some bullet points here of driving engagement, how that might be able to do it. And that might lead into the benefit, not only from the employer side, but for an employee. So leave that open to anybody who wants to attack that one.
Sure. I can kind of continue where I left off there. And I mentioned that I used to teach that consumer-directed healthcare certification class. The fact is, HSAs, they were introduced back in 2004, first hit the market in 2004. And it was at a time when consumerism, healthcare consumerism was the big buzzword in the industry. So employers often would introduce some sort of account like this where employees sort of had some skin in the game. Not everything was covered by an upfront flat dollar copayment. They instead had to pay up to the deductible before the insurance kicked in. And then if they had an account like that, they could contribute to it and pay with tax-free dollars. And oftentimes employers would put money in as well because it would encourage people to become better healthcare consumers. The reality is nowadays, a lot of employers are selecting high deductible health plans, not as a proactive measure to create better healthcare consumers, but as a reactive measure to the high health insurance premium. It may be the main thing that's in the budget is a higher deductible plan. But the truth is that employers typically offer insurance to attract and retain quality employees. So we want the employees to not only understand their plan, but like it and appreciate it and use it well. And the fact is that when you take away those upfront co-payments, which is what you do on a high deductible HSA qualified plan, it can lead to employees not getting the care they need, not going to the doctor when they're sick because it's a little more expensive. They're paying the insurance negotiated rate rather than a flat dollar copayment. And so if an employer does put a little money up front into the account for the employees, that does give them the money for a couple doctor visits or to pick up some prescriptions. And once they start using the account, using their HSA card, they understand it better and tend to use the plan better and like it better. One thing that is allowed is if you have a Section 125 plan, and through ESI you do, you can actually set up matching contributions kind of like you would with a 401k. So we all know that with a 401k, if the employer just makes it available but doesn't put any funds in or do any match for the employees, participation tends to be lower. Kind of the same thing on an HSA. You can increase participation if you say, you put in $1, I'll put in $1 up to X amount, or you put in $1, I'll put in 50 cents up to X amount. That's perfectly legal with as long as you have the 125 plan. And it can be a great strategy because it gets the employees used to saving. It does grow the account twice as fast. And they do see that as a real benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it. I didn't think of from the standpoint of if you budget for your employees the full amount that you wanted to contribute, but you can kind of bring that back a little bit and say, well, until they, as you just mentioned, until they commit, then I don't have to commit, because you kind of put those monies on the side until they get used to what that is and actually start using it, kind of like your seed money. So I thought that was interesting compared to being, having to put it all in at once, and you have those abilities to do either way.
Yeah, and the fact is, it is going to become the employee's money when it goes into the account.
Sure.
Whoever makes the contribution, it's the employee's money. So by doing a match as opposed to just putting in a lump sum, what happens is those who understand and appreciate the benefit, they take advantage of it. Those that wouldn't appreciate it as much, you're not throwing the money away on them, basically. So, you're kind of asking the employees to be grown-ups and to budget for those future expenses, and then you agree to help them with it. And so that's a great. One last thing I would say on that is there are a lot of employers that say, I just don't have the money to do this, right? To contribute to the accounts. But there are ways to move money around. So for instance, if right now you offer a copay plan and it's X amount, and the HSA plan is $50 less per month, well, you could just kind of make the employees whole by putting in the premium savings into their HSA, or doing a match based on that. If right now you're paying 100% of the premium for the HSA qualified plan, maybe you back that down to 90 or 80. And so now you make a premium contribution and an HSA contribution. So you can get creative in the way you do it, and maybe find some money to help get the employees through this.
Very good. Okay, now how an HSA saves you money, specific use case scenarios.
So on our employee webinar that we did, we actually pulled up a little calculator tool, and we can kind of show you that here. I believe, Corey, if you have that.
Yep.
Available
right now. Sorry about that.
But the nice thing about this was something we created. I mean, you could do the same thing with just a calculator, but I think this does help to kind of illustrate it, because, people are in different tax brackets based on whether they're single or joint filers and what their annual income is. So you can see there, if somebody as a single individual makes between about $48,000 and $103,000 a year, they're in the 22% federal income tax bracket. What that means is any amount they contribute to their HSA, they're going to save 22% of that amount in taxes, right? And then if they contribute through payroll, so if you allow the payroll contributions, then they also save an additional 7.65%. Those are the FICA taxes that they don't have to do their match on. So when you put that together, that means that every dollar that they put into the HSA through payroll, they're essentially saving 30 cents in taxes. And so one way to frame this for employees is, some people, they like to max out their account. They don't use it. They just kind of keep the money there and let it roll over, and it essentially functions as a savings account. Great if employees have the money and the discipline to do that. But for those who don't, who aren't going to contribute regularly, if they will at least open their account, if they have a qualified plan, then if they incur an expense, they can either at that point make a contribution to the account and pay the expense out of it, or they can simply pay it on a credit card and then increase or start making an HSA contribution, and over time reimburse themselves with tax-free dollars. So it's essentially like getting a discount on your healthcare costs or healthcare expenses. So as an example, if they have a $2,000 claim and they run that through the HSA, then in essence, if they were contributing directly to the administrator and just getting that federal tax discount, it'd be like paying $1,560 for a $2,000 claim. If instead they contribute through payroll, it's as if they were only paying $1,407 for that $2,000 claim. Corey, just to make it fun, but just plug in 3,000 if you would, because we know if you have a $2,000 claim, it's probably going to be a $3,000 claim. You wind up in the hospital, it's higher. At that point, now they're paying $2,110 in effect for a $3,000 bill. So it's a pretty big benefit, and I think if you explain it that way to your employees, and certainly feel free to use this calculator tool to do that, they'll see that it is a really big benefit. And then one last note, when it doesn't carve this out and show it separately, but if you look at the differences between those amounts, you can see that 7.65% FICA savings is a big deal. You as an employer also save that amount. So any amount that the employees contribute through payroll, you're not having to do the matching FICA contribution. So, I mean, actually, I guess that goes to ESI. Or the ESI has the 125 plan set up. I apologize. So, but,
whoever has the 125 would get that from
exactly.
the employer side.
The reason that 7.65% is important is, so many people dismiss it. But something we said earlier in our other webinar is, we all live in Texas where we have that sales tax holiday, and people will line up around the block to save 8% on sales tax once a year. So 7.65%, it is a big deal for employees. And so mentioning that benefit is important.
And as I was also mentioning, I mean, even in the heyday of the Wall Street, we're getting good returns, but this return compared to even your average 7-8%, even for 401ks, and people know about those and contribute to those, you're even getting more here, and you're doing it for your health. So it's another thing to really work at. And I would also emphasize is employers that were ESI, you're not alone. We can do all this marketing, help it in the employee portals and during our open enrollment, and Amber and her team. Just, how and when you think we should be able to do it, or the feedback you're getting internally would help us. And we're happy to be able to do that with you too. Right. I know we covered a lot on that one, Eric. I don't know, or Amber and Eric, I don't know if we need anything else on here. So let's see.
Yeah, just that last point is really important. It is about perception, and people are not going to just naturally understand this. The more you communicate to employees as an employer and show them what the benefit is, the more they're going to like it and understand it and appreciate the benefits package. And that's what you're trying to do. So you get more ROI on offering benefits if you have a good communication and education strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's making the employees better consumers of not only their healthcare, but also their money that they're putting away, as well as what you're matching. So, when they're going to the doctor's office, are they negotiating the cost? Are they making sure, they're not getting the top tier name brand, just because the doctor said, oh, you got to be on this one, are they looking for a better way to help save money, so they're not paying those crazy out of costs. So again, just making them better consumers.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right, we had a slide for real world examples and talking points, real-time cases, any like employer successes, case studies, and highlights.
I don't know if y'all have any. I do have one that comes to mind. I mean, a number that come to mind, but one in particular. We used to work with a staffing company. I used to work with a staffing company that they had maybe 24 kind of full-time office staff, and the employer, he took full advantage of this, and he offered a dollar-for-dollar match all the way up to I think he put a certain amount in, and then above that did a dollar-for-dollar match up to the maximum amount that was allowed. And then for those who had family members, he even increased the max that he would put into the account. And there was huge adoption, as you would imagine. everybody, just about everybody took the HSA plan instead of the copay plan. I helped, for a number of years with their enrollment meetings and very positive feedback from people. And I do feel that over time, people did sort of become better healthcare consumers, which, it's a good thing for people's health. If they're having conversations with medical providers, they are asking, do I need the name brand or would the generic work just as well, and that sort of thing. But the one thing that this particular employer wasn't real happy about was he each year would ask, what is the balance in each employee's HSA? He was asking that not to find out, who was spending money and who wasn't, but more he wanted to make sure that over time they had the full amount of their deductible and out-of-pocket exposure budgeted for. And so he was adjusting his contributions based on that. And what we had to tell him is, in the same way that a bank wouldn't be able to disclose what somebody's balance is in their checking account, even though they might have gotten that money from the paycheck from that employer, once it goes into the employee's account, it's their money, and the employer isn't going to have access to that information. So it truly is an employee-owned account, and and people do tend to spend their money differently than they spend the insurance company's money. And so the fact that they own the account is a feature of it, but it also means you have to just kind of go on a little bit of faith as an employer that, that they are spending the money appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, in the age also of just rising medical costs, plan costs, and we have bad claim years, and maybe we're on a lot of the co-pays and different things. Is there any examples from switching to the high deductible, help get them an employer in front of maybe those rising costs are just not at the same speed, and then backing that up with that education of the employees coming in and utilizing the HSA? Because obviously the objective is, from an employer standpoint, is to be able to say, okay, if I did a lot of co-pays, use my premiums, if I do a high deductible plan, have some of that left over to contribute or match, as we're saying previously, or seed just a little bit in the beginning to kind of curb those first utilization type claims. Any examples, even internally with our team, or maybe Eric, have you seen out there that a right insertion of that has worked out?
Can everybody speak at once, huh?
Exactly.
Well,
just trying to take it from the employer mindset.
Yeah, I think a lot of times an employer feels that when they offer a quote unquote high deductible health plan, that they are somehow giving the employees a lesser benefit. The reality is that while there is a minimum deductible on an HSA qualified plan, there's also a maximum out of pocket, and it in fact is lower than the maximum out of pocket on a lot of the copay plans. So if you look at it from a pure insurance standpoint, what am I going to have to pay if something big and unexpected happens? A lot of times those high deductible health plans are actually offering better coverage than the copay plans. Sure, on the lower cost stuff like doctor visits and prescriptions, you might be able to do a little better on the copay plan, but you still benefit from the discount on the HSA. A lot of times people have access to a telehealth benefit that can kind of replace those missing co-payments. And so in reality, you're really not, as an employer, giving employees a lesser plan. You're giving them a plan that functions a little bit differently. And if you want to help with some of those first dollar expenses that used to be covered by a co-payment, where now the employee is going to have to pay the contracted price, that's where that seed money can really be beneficial. And then people are making an educated decision. I'm sick. I can either take an over-the-counter med and hope it gets better. I can pick up the phone and call a doctor and go get a prescription. Or I can actually go to the doctor, and yes, I'll have to pay a little bit more, but maybe I get a shot, right? So now the employee is actually choosing what to do because they've got the money in their account that so they can afford that doctor visit.
Right.
If they don't, they're not contributing and you're not contributing, and they're just going with a high deductible plan, well, then somebody might, choose not to go. And that's certainly not what you want. You want your employees to get better and come back to work, shortly afterwards. And so from a productivity standpoint and as well as a plan appreciation standpoint, contributing a little bit can certainly, I think, provide good returns for an employer.
Mhm.
I rambled a lot. I don't know if that answered the question, Corey, but
Yeah, it's just trying to give ideas of because that's one of the biggest things. You start off with a business idea and then want to chase that dream or create a company, and all of a sudden, as we all know, or what we obviously do for employers, is being able to take most of that employment you've been stocked with out of the way. One of these, you just have, as you mentioned earlier, Eric, you just have to have them from a strategic standpoint now, as benefits and all that. But how understanding exactly how to study it and where do the plans fit in for me and my group. And then also the best thing about that in the HSA, as you were saying there, it gives the employees the opportunities to use it how you want to, because I can't determine exactly what, as an employer, is exactly what every employee needs, nor should I. Or then also you have HIPAA, right? So you have all these, you want to help, and you have all these rules against you, and it's kind of this spiral thing that but putting the best foot forward if you can. And that's kind of where we also, as an organization, lean on the high deductible plans with the HSAs as a group. So
yeah.
Okay, encouraging employees. We just went over that calculator. We kind of got ahead on that one, but encourage employees while managing costs. Again, this is exactly where leaning on us or our team here, our marketing teams, our benefits teams together through our employee portals or anything that we can do to help do that. But emphasizing communication, let employees know communications are evaluated annually, aligned expectations, and that's kind of where that HSA calculator. And by the way, the landing page, you'll see you have a QR code for it that'll keep growing on itself after this. Is this a great resource, and you'll be able to that'll be on there, and we'll redirect it to Eric's page on there, because it's a great little tool that puts it all right in front of you right there. And create a benefit strategy that's competitive and sustainable. Amber and Eric, you have anything from a benefit strategy standpoint of what you've seen others? I know for our particular thing is encouraging people to utilize the HSA with the high deductible plan, but anything to add from a communication or just from the benefits and through the open enrollment that you've seen employers or employees knowing about the high deductibles and HSAs through the years?
Oh, well, one thing one thing that we can do just to, again, promote awareness to HSA is during their open enrollment at the end of the year when they elect, what they would like to contribute. Again, as the annual limits change during their open enrollment, they can see what their employer contributes to their HSA. So that helps them plan accordingly, what they want, the amount they want to elect annually. Again, that can be changed. They just can notify our benefits team. They can update that at any time once they're enrolled. But they can take into consideration, okay, my employer's matching this amount for the year, and then that applies to, they take that away from what they want to annually contribute. Based on their election, but that'll be a part of our open enrollment this year that we have incorporated.
Sure.
And I think Amber made an important point there about the employees being able to change their contribution. That is different from like the way a flexible spending account operates. So an FSA, which some of your employees may be familiar with, it is a use it or lose it account. An HSA is a use it or keep it account. An FSA requires you to be a fortune teller and know what your expenses are going to be at the beginning of the year, and then kind of pledge to contribute the same amount in equal installments all year long. With an HSA, somebody could open an account, put a little money in, and then wait until they incur a claim. Or they could start out saying, I'm going to contribute $100 a month, and then decide that's a little, too aggressive. I need to back it down to 50. So they can change their contribution at least monthly is what the law says. You can certainly allow that more often, but they can change their contribution throughout the year, either increase it or decrease it, start making it, stop making it, etc. And then, Corey, you have a really good bullet point here on the slide too, and that is letting employees know that the contributions are evaluated annually. I know I worked with a church once that was putting in a lot of initial seed money and then doing a match for the employees. And I remember we were crystal clear in the communications. This is the first year we're offering an HSA, and to kind of get you going and make sure you have some money in the account, to use to replace those co-payments that you previously had, we're going to put some money in. But this is a first year strategy. It's a first year gift. We're not going to necessarily do this going forward. And so one of the cool things about an HSA is we know health insurance premiums are kind of a fixed amount, right? Mm-hmm. And, the insurance company requires a certain contribution amount, and then the next year they go up by 10 or 15% or even more as the trend has been recently. That means your contribution goes up by that. If you kind of change it where you have a fixed and a variable contribution, the health insurance represents the fixed amount, the HSA sort of represents the variable, then when the fixed amount, that monthly premium goes up, you can back down your HSA contributions a little bit, and over a 2 to 3 year period, maybe keep your overall contribution a little more level. That's something you can't really do if you're just paying toward premiums. So going with a little bit lower cost plan and introducing that variable component, does allow for that.
Perfect. And I know we had it on the other one, but we did kind of touch on it again, just so from a management employer standpoint to understand it. Amber kind of described, I know we have HSA Bank, and it's just not, get an HSA and that'd be great, but also let everybody know, again, this is what we do. We have this all internally. It's just picking those pieces that kind of touch on that you don't have to run out, or employees don't have to run out and get an HSA account. We have that, or if they have one, you can also utilize that, put a little more light on that.
Yep. So our preferred or our vendor is HSA Bank. We have a partnership with HSA Bank. So if employees are interested and, where to even get started when they set up an HSA account, they can reach out to benefits here at ESI. We can help get them established with an account with HSA Bank and get those contributions rocking and rolling as soon as they elect that to get that started. And so we can help walk them through that process. Again, they may have an HSA account that's already established with a different provider. They can if they know the account information, they can contact us, get that, and we can get that set up and start their contributions already into an HSA account that they might already have. Something we talked about earlier today was it's okay if they have multiple different HSA accounts, they can have those. They're not limited to one. If they wanted to start one with HSA Bank with us, they had one with a prior employer, they can still utilize those funds in both of them. But we're here to, again, assist and make it as easy as possible for them to start contributing to an HSA.
Right. Great points. And Eric, the one that I think we kept coming back to or mentioned a lot, and we had even some questions on that, but an HSA, just so everybody knows, an HSA for, like, I'll have an HSA, and you described it well. But I can also utilize it for anybody in my family that needs medical attention, and kind of touch on that for everybody's clarification.
Yeah, I mean, that I think is a really big benefit because, most employers, just budget wise, they can afford to help with their employees' health insurance premium, but they may not contribute a lot toward the dependent premium. And so typically what you see is employees sign themselves up and they may not sign their family members up on the health plan. But with the HSA, whether they're making contributions, you as an employer are making contributions, or both, that money in their account they can use for their own expenses, for their spouse's expenses, and for their tax-dependent children's expenses, so medical, dental, and vision expenses, whether those family members are on the health plan or not. And that's a big benefit, and it's something that employees appreciate because, again, they may not have been able to to afford to add their family members to the health plan, but if they can at least use some tax-free dollars to pay for their expenses, that's something that they very well might take advantage of.
Great, excellent point. And the one I love, another life ago being in securities, but the whole thing about it's, making money's great. The second most important thing is only having to pay your fair share of the taxes type of thing. And the great thing about an HSA that you're would empowering your employees also is what I called the triple hit. I don't know if I heard that or I came up with that myself, but the whole thing is from again, it's less taxable wages. So the more that you can put on a pre-tax, as we might all well know, the benefit is that you're taxed less, so more take-home money from there. And then it contributes to the HSA or your medical, what I call the medical 401k. And and then the third great thing about that is it invests on its own. So if you're not utilizing it or you're stockpiling it until, as we know, everybody ages, things start to break or need a little more adjustment. So you'll have that invested so that money can grow on its own too. And the kind of the fourth or a subcategory that we were speaking about earlier today was just it's cash, right? So even if you need medical attention that's outside of, let's say, a network or a specialist or whatever that might be, usually that cash you have a little more bargaining chips for that. So again, it's kind of one of those things that is it's a hidden gem, but understanding and explaining it. Everybody here at ESI's, especially from our benefit departments, able to have those conversations. If we can help with communications of that, just let us know. But those are the greatest benefits. And Eric, I know you spoke about you're doing a lot from a CE and not only educating agents every day on that or reminding them of that, but any business and any businesses that ask that and anything to kind of add to that triple hit we talked about or any just comments on that.
Well, I'll do a quick plug. So
Sure.
Corey kind of mentioned at the beginning, Benefits Weekly. That's kind of my side project. We started a few weeks ago a newsletter, for lack of a better word, but it really isn't a newsletter. I basically, with a partner, I write something about, a different topic each week. And if you go to that website, the same one that has the HSA calculator on it, click on previous topics, we actually have a pretty in-depth article about the triple tax benefit of HSAs. And essentially you put the money in tax-free, so you get an instant tax break. It grows tax-free. And what makes it different from an IRA or a 401k is as long as you use it for qualified medical expenses, it's always tax-free. And so it's not tax deferred where you pay the taxes when you take it out. It's actually a tax-free benefit if used for medical. If you don't use it for medical, under age 65, if you take money out of your HSA, then I think you hit previous topics and it's week 2 maybe. So, but if you take money out of the HSA, then you do pay taxes plus a 10% penalty if you use it for something other than medical expenses. At age 65, it works like an HSA if used for medical, but it also, it wasn't, I guess maybe it's week 3, but yeah, there were some changes in the big, beautiful bill act, but then we have the triple tax benefit.
I'll also put this in the chat. Sorry, Eric, to cut you off.
Oh, perfect. But basically, if you, at age 65, if you take the money out and use it for something other than medical, so you want to go take a cruise or something, you will pay taxes, but no penalty on that money. So 20% penalty under age 65, no penalty at age 65 if you use it for ineligible expenses.
Excellent. All right. Now, if you, as we're wrapping up, if you have any questions, again, please enter them into the chat, and we will be happy to answer them. If for the landing page we currently have out there, you'll see here's the QR code. I'll put that up on there. So that'll have all the, once we have the video, we'll place that on there. All the slides, anybody participating today, obviously we'll send these slides to them. We'll also have the frequently asked questions on the landing page and any of the other additional information we add to it. So keep that landing page and maybe in one of your favorites as we keep building on it. It also will load the video to there and everything else from that. So I don't see, let me go back to see if there's any of the questions. Don't see any questions.
Quiet bunch, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Or we
It's
were
the-
just that
it-
thorough. Who knows?
It's the food coma, right? So
Exactly.
be able to do it. All right. Amber and Eric, anything to say in parting for kind of from the renewal season? I know we just started off with HSAs, probably have some other topics out there, but just kind of what you're anticipating for renewal seasons. Other
Well,
than
we're
going
coming-
real smooth.
No, we're coming up on year end. So obviously, we're getting ready for 2026. So that's when, again, HSA elections, they are an annual election just because those limits change. So we will have open enrollment for employees to go through to make their 2026 HSA election and FSA, and it's their ancillary elections here coming soon. But yeah, if there's questions, our benefits team is here to help answer those, assist. Again, questions if you have about employer contributions, that is what we're here for. So please use us as a resource.
Great, thanks, Amber. And Eric, thank you for joining us and all the particular information. We're also on the landing page. You see it here, but on the landing page, we'll have Eric's information. We'll have that a direct link for those calculator and other information that he has. Again, it's a new endeavor he started. Great information on benefits and different throughout the whole year. And Eric, any parting words for yourself on that?
No, just appreciate the opportunity to chat with y'all today, and hopefully this was beneficial. And if I can ever assist, let me know. Thank you much.
Definitely will. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, team. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And again, we'll have those updates coming to the landing page, so keep in tune on there. Appreciate it. We'll never have a great day and finish the week strong. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Yeah.